everybody. Welcome to the Drew Grimaldi podcast. We have a very special guest with us here today, the author, Dennis Brennan. We have him here. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks for inviting me back, Drew. I appreciate it.
Of course. Well, I appreciate you coming on because I want to try out some new stuff. I want to be able to watch a video with you and then have us kind of go after it, So let me try this out here. So because I think that this is the best way to do it here. All right. So this one here, let's check this one out. So I was just telling you about this one. So this video here, that the first one here, this is a transgender, a transgender attorney who goes absolutely apeshit. And with your law background, I was curious what your thoughts are with this. Let me pull it here. There it is. All right, let's see if we can get this jiving here. But check this one out here, because this one is pretty crazy.
I pointed you to the exact paragraph. It's her education.
Stop
Because you don't want to hear what the argument is.
Stop! You interrupt me one more time, you are being held in direct contempt of court, and
Yes,
you can
ma'am.
wipe that smirk off.
I don't have a
your face.
smirk on my face.
Oh, yes, you
I do not.
I am not going to tolerate this from you, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
Fill out the request, get the form from our court clerk's office on the second floor, make sure it comports with what you've brought already, get it filed, mailed in, whatever you need to do. Let us assess her request. If it's
My client's not seen her child. There is no order in this court, and there's been no jurisdiction found that this court has jurisdiction over this child.
You can tell with its voice that it's definitely transgender.
Never lived. I did not. There was a pause. There was a break. I wasn't done with my argument.
And I was not done with my statement. You interrupted again. Do not throw your...
I did not throw. It fell off the bench. Please stop stating things that are not true, ma'am.
Sir, you've got a room full of witnesses.
I do.
Please stop stating things that are not true, says the woman pretending to be a man.
I'm not upset, and I'm not arguing. You're not letting me make an argument. I'm not red in the face, ma'am. I'm not.
Stop. Our court reporter cannot get what we're both saying.
I am trying to make my argument. You interrupted my argument halfway through on an objection.
It will get every available deputy.
Yes, ma'am, I'm aware. It's happened to me before.
It has.
Yes.
Because you're out of line in the court.
I guess so.
Okay. If I push that
Or maybe
button-
because I'm a transgender attorney.
Oh, here we go.
I don't know what you are.
You do, ma'am. It's not that you do.
I don't know whether
You do,
you're
ma'am. You do. You
Other
do.
than you have just now
No,
advised me,
ma'am,
and
you
that
do.
doesn't have
You do.
anything to do
It's
with
happened when we
anything.
talked on the phone.
That wasn't talking, let me tell you. You were entirely inappropriate.
You were yelling at me, and I did
She's not taking any of that shit.
And I didn't know you from Adam.
I said, my name is Rob Hopkins. I'm an attorney in Oklahoma City.
No, sir, you did not.
Okay.
Okay?
There's no one there to know that, right?
Okay. So we are pausing this until you get the ADA request form filled out and it gets processed.
So we're going to pause the hearing on jurisdiction that's been set twice. I drove an hour and a half to have the hearing. My client's available.
Oh my God, an hour and a half. That's such a long
And
drive.
We are simply not even taking testimony.
Is your client available telephonically?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Well, then get her on the phone.
Thank you.
Your Honor, which we would object. This is as clear as the nose on my face that this woman will not appear before this court because she has a warrant for stealing.
Objection, you're saying that's not true. And you're ready
You
to
will
say,
find, sir,
step
that
at me and say, or shout at me.
I'm not putting down here.
No, we're stopping.
Get out of my face,
I've been
sir.
doing that for a long
Get out of
time.
my face, sir.
You may step
Get out of my face.
You should leave this county.
Get out of my
He
face.
says you should leave this county. That's
Get out of my
fucking
face.
funny.
People, my friend, you're being ugly.
And get out of my face. Why?
Because you're in direct contempt of court.
He shouted at me. No, I'm not being, you did not even say that I was in
You are
contempt.
in direct.
No, I'm not doing
Judge,
my
I
stuff.
apologize, but I felt very threatened by this person. The screaming and the yelling in court, I've never even heard that before in this courtroom.
Do not hurt me. Do not hurt me.
Hands behind your back.
Do not. You're throwing me over the.
Stop resisting.
I'm not resisting.
Okay, put your hands behind your back, stop
You
resisting.
know exactly what's
Why
happening.
don't you all walk that way?
He's
I
resisting.
can't walk. I'm being thrown down.
Just settle down, walk that way.
No.
Settle down. Do not grab me. Do not grab me. What are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing? You're hurting me. You're hurting me. You don't need to take me. You don't take me. You don't get me. I can't breathe. I can't breathe. I can't breathe. I can't breathe.
Put your hands
I
behind your back.
cannot breathe. I can't breathe. I can't breathe. I can't breathe. I can't breathe. Help! Somebody call 911. Please. 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 Please.
Back to secure.
Ow! 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 Ow!
What are you doing, officer?
Somebody call 911! Somebody call 911! Somebody call
Yeah,
Go to your phone now.
All right, I think we've had enough there. But
yes.
so, from your opinion, as as an attorney, even and as an author, so I just got to point out this one thing, right? Why do they always go to the "I can't breathe" or the all of that crap kind of? It's like, oh, I can't breathe, and then he
Yeah.
started saying, "I want a female officer. Give me a female officer." Like,
Right. I thought you were a guy.
right?
And, yeah, the I can't breathe, I think, comes from the George Floyd arrest.
Right. Yeah, and
Everybody
clearly
knows
trying to
that.
play into that group. But the other thing, too, is at the end, the transgender attorney started yelling, "Call 911, call 911." And I thought to myself, that's like these like ICE protesters. They're sitting there, that are saying, "Oh, we'll call 911 if ICE is following you or something." Like call 911 on the law enforcement. Call law enforcement on the law enforcement that's doing their job. It makes no
That's
sense
just
to
gonna
me.
put more guys there to put their knee on you. I don't understand that idea. Yeah, that attorney is going to have some problems. I mean, he said he was from Oklahoma, right?
Yeah.
So I'm not sure what state this is in. If it's Oklahoma, I assume it is.
Yep. It was Oklahoma.
Yeah, they probably have similar bar rules that we all have. Illinois, we've had attorneys disciplined for just writing mean letters, like saying something in the letter, or I swear to God, it shocked me actually when I saw some of the cases where they would call the other attorney a name, and they were called bullies, and all of a sudden they're suspended or reprimanded. I don't
Interesting.
think anyone's been disbarred for it, but this is even worse. You go into a courtroom, you may think you're important as the attorney, but the judge doesn't think so.
Right.
The judge is in charge. They can do anything pretty much. And hearings are continued all the time. That's not unusual.
Right.
So kind of an overreaction on the attorney's part, especially the client's not there. It's
Right.
not like you made the client come in, we're ready to go. You're doing it by phone.
Right. And the person didn't want to come in because there was a bench warrant for their arrest.
Right. Right. And then,
What are we doing here?
Right. it's like, okay, why do we have this case going if you don't want to show up in court because
Right.
you know you're going to get arrested? I don't see how anyone could look at this and say that attorney's correct. I
Right.
thought the other attorney was funny.
Yeah, I thought he was
walking
too.
away.
He would just kind of say something. He goes, "You should get out of this county." It's like, oh.
It was like a Western.
Yeah.
You've got 3 hours to pack your bags and get out of
Get
here.
the fuck out. Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny.
It was entertaining. It was satisfying because it was like, this person's clearly delusional. You know, if you're sitting there going, "I can't breathe," or "Get me a female officer," like, where do you think in that position that you are in a position to make demands?
I don't know. Yeah. And why don't you, like when people say turn around, put your hands behind your back,
Just do it.
it's not that hard.
Right.
I mean,
It's only hard when they got to spin you around and throw you up against something.
right. So you turn around, they cuff you. These guys, I assume they're deputy sheriffs, bailiffs, whatever. They're going to be gentle with you. You're not a criminal, really,
Right.
until you start doing that stuff. Until you start resisting.
Right.
And I love, I'm not resisting. This seems to be a common theme with people being arrested.
Right.
Yes, you are.
It's like projecting. Yeah. It's like, I'm not resisting. I'm not resisting. I'm not resisting.
Right. Bending their shoulders, making it impossible.
Like they're trying to be like a ninja, you know? Yeah. It's crazy.
I think any attempt to not be cuffed is resisting.
Right. Exactly. Especially in that position. I don't understand it too. They're always like, "Don't touch me. Don't hurt me."
Right.
Like, it's like they're trying to project what they're hoping will happen. And they hope that all people will see is just a 30-second clip on MS Now, and they'll get mad and take the transgender side, is the way I look at it.
Right. And I'm sure you'll have some people look at that and say, well, I think I counted 4 officers there. Does it really take 4 people to take down this guy? And I'm like, apparently, yes.
Yeah, yeah. Right. You don't know the type of power editing.
It would have been less, like if you could punch him in the face, that would do it.
Right.
But to wrestle someone down to the ground and cuff them, yeah, apparently it takes more than one guy. I don't know.
Right. You're right. That is funny. Let me see here. I don't know why I keep getting out of these videos here. Let me see, because I got another one here for us. I
hope it's as good as that one. That was a good one.
Oh, it was entertaining, right? Yeah.
Right.
So, I mean, that one was pretty satisfying, too. I could have watched that like 100 times. Just because it's like, you know, you just snap somebody out of this. Oh, so here's another one here, too. So, another judge one. Another LBGTQIA+++ alphabet warrior. And I'm curious on your take on this one, because also a very crazy one. Let me get this one transferred. Oh yeah, this one's just as good. Here, I think you'll enjoy. Watch this one here.
Accused of having an attorney handcuffed and kept in a jury box. Judge Rosie Speedland Gonzalez turned herself in this afternoon on both felony and misdemeanor.
Oop, hang on here. I'm going to try. Here we go. All right, back to this.
Charges.
KSAT Investigates broke the story 2 weeks ago, and Dylan Collier continues to follow through now that the case has gone to a grand jury.
Judge Rosie Speedland Gonzalez's legal ordeal began December 17, 2024, during an argument with defense attorney Elizabeth Russell inside County Court 13. Speedland Gonzalez ordered Russell to be handcuffed. Court transcripts show the judge berated the attorney while she sat restrained in a jury box. Russell, who declined comment today, filed a criminal complaint. Earlier this month, KSAT Investigates exposed the incident and spoke with former employees who worked in Speedland Gonzalez's court. They described the judge's behavior as increasingly erratic. The 2-count indictment accuses Speedland Gonzalez of unlawful restraint by a judge, a second-degree felony, and misdemeanor official oppression. And Speedland Gonzalez did not respond to a request seeking comment. Records show she turned herself in just after noon and was released from custody around 2 o'clock.
All right, so now that she's not in custody, Dylan, what ultimately happens to the judge moving forward?
Yeah, she has an opponent in the March primary, which is now just over 4 weeks away.
She was running for re-election.
The State Commission on Judicial Conduct could also move to suspend her, which we have seen happen a couple of 6-7 months. Uvalde County.
But yeah, how crazy is that, though?
So she had an attorney. She got into an argument with an attorney, had her handcuffed and put in the jury box.
Yeah, and then just kept berating her and held her there until she decided to let her go.
No, I mean, judges can hold you in contempt, and usually they take you to the back. There's a little holding cell,
right?
For real criminals. But they let you. Usually they calm down and let you go.
Right. Yeah.
And usually the attorney comes out and apologizes.
Right. In this case, I don't think she did because she filed a complaint. But this judge,
right?
And there's something to that, right? Like you take somebody who's already probably a little bit mentally unstable, and you pump this woman full of testosterone. I mean, look how guys act when they're on roids. They get in fights, they get angry. And I start to see this, but I think that there's like this element to the LGB community where it's very sadistic, and there's that dominant, submissive aspect to it. And I think she likes to play that dominant role to a disgusting degree. If that's my take on it, but I don't know the whole perverted back end of these kind of things.
No, it's hard to tell on this one because you don't see the whole thing, but it's. Throwing them in the jury box is a little bit overboard. I mean, you do have a right to hold them in contempt for whatever they were doing, but it sounds like, I don't know. I guess attorneys are arguing more with judges and vice versa. That never was the case, and it might be the quality of judges we're getting anymore.
Right.
I don't know.
Right.
I mean, it has changed. I do know that over the course of 35 years I've been doing it. You have different types of judges. Yeah. I don't know. Some might be better, but there's a lot of different.
Look at Judge Boasberg and all of these guys that are trying to play president, with some of their rulings. And I would bet money that that judge that we just watched that video on, I would guess if you dug into it, you'd find Soros money in there somewhere.
It's interesting. I don't know if Soros giving money to those things, but the way money's being moved around for politics anymore, hard to tell.
Yeah.
Some of these judges, depending on what state, Act Blue and other groups are funding those things. I know they are in the bigger state Supreme Court races. They're throwing all kinds of money in, all because of abortion and issues like trans and such.
And I think the abortion thing too. And I've said this before on here, but like the dark money that came in during the 2022 midterms, like it was all foreign money through Act Blue. Some of it was Sam Bankman-Fried money that was funneled into, little local elections to try to flip, so when you had the 2020, for example, where everybody goes into the courts and they're like, well, this was election fraud, this was election fraud, this was election fraud. I feel like a lot of these guys are like, well, I don't even want to touch any of this shit. Like the Democrats are going to release like where my kids go to school, where my, where I work, like, all this stuff and go harass me. Like, is it really worth it?
Yeah. Well, in election fraud, most states have rules that are almost impossible to get around. You have to do it within so many days, and
right.
Hey, I don't have all the evidence together. I just know something happened, but I can't, provide you all the evidence. It's a very quick case. So
right. What are your thoughts on what's going on with Iran these days?
I still have faith it's going to work out. I'd like to see the full regime change, though. Honestly,
I would too. I would too.
I don't understand, the people that say they support this administration, but now are backing off because of Iran, as if the only issue was no more wars. Right. I mean, one of the issues was also let's get rid of terrorism, and that's part of this. It's a big part of it. If Iran can be changed, that's going to be great for the Iranian people and
Agree.
Most importantly for us.
Absolutely.
I mean, let's get rid of terror.
Absolutely. You're breaking up a little bit there. You hear me?
Oh, yeah, I can.
Okay, good,
Yeah.
good. All right, perfect. It looks like you're breaking up here just a tad, so I just didn't want to lose you. So let's take a look here and let's see if I can get this next one up here jiving for us. So, like I said, this is the first time I've ever done this where I was able to show the videos and get your opinion on them. So it's kind of fun.
I like it.
Yeah, I do
like
too. I do too. Because there's things where it's like you try to reference something and you might not be able to point it right out. So this is one here. You got ex-CIA, Director Brennan here on this one. That they're trying to go back after him for some of the crimes. Let's see if I can get this one up here for us. All right. We get it. There we go.
This case, but it shows that over the past 10 years there's been failure after failure to try to identify something that wrongdoing in this case. But part of this is to harass, to try to hurt individuals reputationally, professionally, financially, trying to keep the story alive as a way to deflect from other issues and challenges that they face. So, again, I'm not surprised by this. I'm very dismayed and disappointed by it. I'm also very troubled that we have people in government who seem to be so mean-spirited that they try to hurt individuals, hurt people, their families, and others. And they claim to be part of the Republican Party. This is not the Republican Party that I work with or that you worked with. There are people of integrity who never would have thought the Department of Justice would have fallen as far as it has. And so, again, every day when I wake up, there's something new that I just find just being so surreal and separated from the government and the reality that I worked in for 33 plus years. But again, I take every day as it comes.
That guy's such a scumbag.
He's a disgrace to the name.
He really is.
Believe it. How do?
I mean, the thing is he sitting there talking about how the Republicans are just trying to go after him because he's a political enemy, and Trump's trying to go after his political enemies and cause them financial harm, reputational harm, put them in jail. Oh, you mean like what the Democrat Party did to Donald Trump? That you're bitching that's now happening to you? Well, maybe that's what needs to happen so that type of lawfare never fucking happens again.
Yeah. Lawfare is always a tough one because you do have people asking, like, what do you think about, Trump going after his enemies? And it's like, well, if they've committed a crime, I'm okay with it, obviously.
Right, yeah, exactly. We're not arresting somebody we're not arresting Mother Teresa here.
Right. And it seems like whether it's Brennan, where the things they did to set, up this story about Trump in the first term, all made up, as we find out now.
Right.
Yeah, someone should have to pay a price for that, and it should be criminal charges.
I agree.
The Southern Poverty Law Center with the recent indictment of them. If that's true, these guys do more damage than, a foreign country could do to us.
Correct. Yeah, 100%. And I think, too, the Democrats are trying to dissect that and really play it down. Like hearing, Chuck Schumer talk about how going after the, Southern Poverty Law Firm is just more lawfare from the corrupt Trump administration. Like, we have fucking receipts. This investigation was open during the Biden administration. And they dropped it. I wonder why. Because Joe Biden lied and said that Charlottesville was the reason he fucking ran for president, when we now know it was all a hoax, down to the Very Fine People hoax, and that the Southern Poverty Law Firm had somebody that they paid that was there to organize the whole thing.
Yeah, and they provided transportation, apparently. You wonder, because, when Biden gave that weird speech, because that's the one where they had
the red background.
Yes, but he had that weird one, then he had one before that where he announced he was running, I think.
Yeah.
But Yeah, the weird background with the guard standing at the back. It looked weird.
What was that? That was weird. It was very Nazi-esque, you know?
Yes. And
it was very dark and red and, nasty.
Yes. You thought, wait a minute, who are you talking about yourself? But when he was saying all this stuff, and when he started out with the greatest threat to the United States is white supremacy, and I'm thinking,
like what
is it?
Like what?
Because it's not. I mean, let's face it, there was terrible racism for years.
I agree.
But I think the country's put that behind them. And
going with that too, we're striving to be a more perfect union, right? That's to say, we haven't always been perfect, and we're not perfect yet, but we strive to be a more perfect union. So that's what always bothered me. Like, you guys want to delete history about the Southern, the Civil War, all this stuff. You want to delete all this history, and it just never made sense to me. There was always that disconnect there, with
absolutely,
they want to destroy this history.
It does tell you the power, though, of the media and of suggestion, because Democrats ran with that, and the Poverty Law Center gave it, I guess, credibility at the time. The media obviously gave it credibility. They didn't question it.
Right.
Like, to me, find some of these white supremacists you're talking about. I remember when they first started talking about the Proud Boys, and I'm like, who the heck are they?
Right. I had no idea who they were. Yeah.
Right. You would think every white guy would know. Who are the Proud Boys?
Right. If it was such a bad thing. Yeah.
Right. And then it turns out it was some Hispanic guy running it. Like, wait a minute.
That doesn't work into that narrative.
Right. It made no sense. But it actually did the job, because an awful lot of people believed it, probably innocently. Some of them, I suppose, politically want to believe it. They believe anything if their side could win.
Right.
But, it's a shame that the innocent people that are listening to the media or listening to Biden and his cohorts lie and think, oh, yeah, there's a lot of racism out there. And what do you do if you're the black guy? You're probably going, yeah, I was wondering about that when that guy, cut in front of me at the store.
Right.
Or he drove his car by me and looked at me.
Right.
What?
Yeah.
It's not racism.
Well, it's the same thing, too,
idiots.
is that, I mean, I'm not a perfect human being, I'm not. But I never look at somebody and go, oh, that person's a different color, I'm going to treat them differently. Like, that would just never cross my mind, because I'm a Christian, I just treat everybody with respect. I mean, even if like, my parents are liberals, I still have fucking dinner with them every Sunday,
That's nice of you.
But
way to keep the bond going.
Yeah, that's how it's going to do it. But it's having that dialogue, and, it's like the Democrat Party knows that they can't win. They know that the white supremacist narrative was bullshit, but it was just a way of keeping down a group of people in a very dark way. And I just sit there and I think about it, with like DEI, excuse me, stuff like that. Before then, if somebody was of a different ethnicity and they're a pilot, for example, I would never have to sit there and go, oh, I hope they're qualified to be a pilot. Because I would just go, regardless of whatever color he is, whatever ethnicity is, I would just say, oh, yeah, he's qualified to be there. He's a pilot. There's no racism there. But then when you add that element of DEI, that really almost brings in that element of racism, because you need to ask the question, is this guy qualified to be flying this plane?
Well, that's the point Charlie Kirk made in one of his, and then people use it as he's a racist. Well, watch the whole video.
Watch the whole video.
Because that's not what he was saying.
Exactly.
But, I agree. I think, racism, mostly amongst the Democratic Party back in the day.
Yeah.
And now, now I think that's gone. But you're right. They use it because they want to keep the black vote.
Right.
And some of the liberal white vote, although they're probably the instigators of it. And, it's like, okay, we're tricking you into thinking there's all these guys that hate you. And by chance, they're all Republicans.
Right,
It just happens. All the racists are over there. And you'll see it especially on social media, which is probably not a place to gauge anything, but you'll see people refer to Republicans or MAGA as racist, homophobe, Islamophobe. all at once, like they're everything.
Right.
And they're the only people.
Yeah.
It's like, if you're in that group, you're a racist. It's like, well, I hate to break this to you, but there are, women, blacks, Hispanics that voted for Donald Trump.
I mean, actually, more than ever voted Republican in the past. Like the Latino vote came in very much so, and a lot of it, I think, came down to the Christian conservative. I mean, people were just like, they're sick of the weird shit,
Yeah, well, yeah, I think Biden's administration went overboard.
Oh, 100%.
Which is strange because when you think of like the guy, they chose Biden in order to have someone that was considered middle of the road. His record as a senator, it's like, he's kind of a conservative Democrat or a moderate Democrat. He'll be okay.
And the way that they tried to bridge that gap too is like, well, look, he's got connections to David Duke. Like, what? How's that the connection you want to make to the middle? Right? That's not the one you want.
He did the eulogy for Robert Byrd.
Yeah,
They don't argue about that. They're like, he did.
He did it. Yeah.
Everybody loves Joe.
Yeah.
It makes me think he was never all there.
Oh, I don't think he was. Yeah. There's a lot of people that think he was retarded way before that. But I got another video for you.
Okay, great.
Okay, yeah. Let's. So this one here is the Sheila McCormick, the lady that stole all the FEMA money.
Allegedly.
Allegedly. Yeah, you gotta say that, right? Let me. So they, so like they ask these Democrats these questions, right? Hang on here. But like, and we'll do the Ilhan Omar one after this too, just so you could see that one as well here. But check this out. This is craziness, and it's in its form here.
Hi. Your thoughts on the indictment, please?
Well, it's an unjust indictment, and it seems like his intimidation tactics have been pervasive. We spent all week seeing different members getting censured, all in hopes of intimidating and kind of distracting from the Epstein files. And I look forward to my day in court so I can prove myself and actually state the truth. But if this is what Congress is becoming, where they're always trying to intimidate you, scare
So for whatever reason, that one's super light in the audio. But essentially, she made the argument and tried to say that she's being targeted by the Trump administration and that it's racism. You stole $5 million from FEMA. Like, what are you talking about? And she's talking. It's just, and these people live in their own world. And she added in there. She says it's all a distraction from the Epstein files. Can we stop? Can we stop this? Who? Nobody thinks that anymore. All the documents have been released, and to the farthest extent, that Epstein-Trump connection was a hoax. If the Democrats had that, they would have released it before the 2024 election, easily.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, the Attorney General, when it was Merrick Garland in the Biden administration, they would have roasted Trump or anybody near Trump if they had any evidence. And I don't care. You'll hear people say, well, a court had a court order. You couldn't release things. Yeah, sure.
Right.
They would have released it.
Yeah.
That never stopped them before.
Especially with leaks. They would have leaked it. Just that information. No other information to get any of their Democrats in trouble, but they would have just released the Trump information. They're like, oh, it was a leak. Sorry. They do it all the time with the Supreme Court. Shit.
Right. And you've never seen Trump any evidence of, underage women. Now, I'll admit, he loves women. There is no doubt about that.
Right. Yeah. Don't we all, though? I mean, come on.
Yeah. He's maybe more successful than most guys with the women, but
we're human.
Neither here nor there.
We're human. There's women out there that would make the Pope look twice. Shame on me for looking.
Well, and it's a shame, though, that they color everybody. If you knew Epstein, and it's kind of, they pick and choose. I mean, Bill Clinton was with Epstein.
Right.
But they'll just feed him to the wolves now. It's like, well, we don't care about Clinton anymore.
Right.
One time they defended him for things he did in the White House with the interns. So it's very strange. And this congressman or former congresswoman, I know she said something like, "You're setting a bad precedent by forcing me out." And I'm thinking, well, that other guy, was it George Lopez? The one up in New York, the congressman?
George Santos.
Santos.
Yeah,
Lopez is a comedian, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah. I mean, he shouldn't be a congressman either, but
I agreed. Yeah.
Santos, they pushed him out before he was convicted, and
right.
It's like, okay. I mean, if that's the standard, that's the standard. I'd agree that it should be you're convicted, but they didn't want to do that. So
did you hear this? Did you hear this story about this guy who he was one of the generals high up in the operation to get Nicolas Maduro, put money on Kelshi, stating that it would be a successful grab, and he made like $420,000, and now they're trying to go after him for that. And Anna Paulina Luna says, "I'm going to have a little bit different of an opinion here. We should pardon him because members of Congress are insider trading like this all the time, and they're not being held accountable. So how are you going to hold this guy accountable?" Now, there's other arguments that maybe it was national security secrets, but I still think that's an interesting point there,
Yeah. First of all, I'm not a big gambler, so I don't know about all what you can and can't gamble on. So I'm never truly amazed when I hear, wait, you can gamble on that?
Right, yeah.
But that's truthfully great inside information, though. Like,
100%. Yeah.
You know exactly what's going to happen. And you're like, well, I'm going to guess that there's going to be an indictment on this fella, and he's going to be, taken out of his country. What? We're going to capture him. What? I mean, the things you can gamble on. But yeah, I did read about that, and I thought, wow, that's amazing. I don't know if the idea is to pardon someone.
Yeah.
I think maybe we should enforce better laws against Congress if they're inside.
I think
trading,
so too. 100%.
Let's go after them too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's not. I mean, I get it. This military guy. Kind of a dumb move. If that
it was really stupid.
What are you thinking? I guess you have that information, and maybe you're saying, "Hey, I can make a bundle on this."
Yeah.
But that's the reason you signed an NDA,
right?
And you've got to have a little loyalty to the whole thing.
And is it worth going to jail for like 20 years? Probably not. Then you can't spend the money.
Well, right, and you're not making any money in those 20 years. I don't,
Right.
And you're going to be out of the military. Oh, your whole life is ruined. It doesn't make sense. But yeah, I think the representative maybe should work on. Let's get the congressional people that have profited. We don't know. Of course, was it Omar, Representative Omar, where she made money, then lost money apparently.
Yes, I was just about to go there. I actually have a video clip here, and then we'll get onto that. But yeah, how crazy is that? Can you imagine anybody else having a $29 million accounting error and not getting in trouble for it? Like, that's crazy. And the thing is too that pisses me off the most about her is that she laughs in our face. She'll straight up you Republicans are so stupid. That's such a stupid question. And it's like, no, honey, like, you fucking look stupid, and it pisses people off that you haven't been held accountable yet. If there's one person that should be denaturalized and deported out of this country and have to force all that back, it should be the woman that fucking married her brother to come here illegally to commit immigration fraud and then committed all sorts of fraud. But I digress. She also did the I could go on for hours about this woman, but this one here is Ilhan Omar. Let's see if we can. But this one here, yeah, I mean, it's crazy.
Two prominent Democrats
that these people are getting away with this.
Two prominent Democrats, you see them right there, they are facing scrutiny over their finances. New York Attorney General Letitia James is refusing to release her taxes, putting a blame for errors on her staff.
Meantime, Minnesota Congresswoman Ilhan Omar is claiming she is not a millionaire, despite previous disclosures showing her assets valued up to $30 million. Omar says the discrepancy was due to a major accounting error. We have Sam Antar. He's a forensic accountant. Jacqueline Toberoff. She's a journalist and author of Supermoms Activated. Pleasure to have you both here on set. Sam, welcome to the show this morning.
Thank you for having me on again.
Good to see you. Let's start with Tish James. I know whom you are very familiar with and her money, so to speak. Yeah.
Right. So she doesn't want to release her income tax returns. Now, we know that she bought a house in Virginia, the one that she was indicted on that's now under appeal, right? She bought a house in Virginia. She claimed it was a second home, but she was taking at the same time rental income deductions, expense deductions on the house. Now, you can't claim to the bank that it's a second home while claiming to the IRS it's a rental property that you don't even live in. So that was problem number one with her income taxes. That's why she doesn't want to release it. Problem number two is she says, well, look at my financial disclosures. Okay, we've been through this before. Her financial disclosures from 2020 to 2024 have been all false. They don't include the home that she was indicted for in Virginia or the mortgage. They include mortgages that there is that don't appear in the property.
Stop there, but that thing goes on for like 6 minutes. But I digress. What are your thoughts on that? Like, how do you get that? Like how does that work? That you have $29 million in bad, and then you have Tish James. Yeah, and then you have Tish James. All of these people that tried to accuse Trump of lying about his assets, which he did everything based on the way business people were supposed to do it, and they said, well, we don't like it. We think he committed fraud. Trying to say that Mar-a-Lago was only worth like $100 million. Like, like what? That's maybe one of the tennis courts, but yeah. But these guys are so disingenuous. I mean, it's just crazy to me that.
Two parts there, right? You have Omar first saying she was worth, I guess, up to $30 million.
Yeah, it was like 36. Yeah.
Yeah, and it includes her husband who had this winery, which is strange that she have a winery because he's a Muslim.
Right.
They tend not to, they don't drink.
Right. And that's true. I didn't even think of that. Yeah.
No, I guess you could be the typical bar owner who doesn't drink himself, but make sure
you can't drink your own product. Yeah.
Right. It's probably better if you're an alcoholic.
Right.
You don't own the bar, but
right.
But he had this winery. Now all of a sudden they're saying this winery is out of business, and I'm thinking, is it tied to the other Somalia fraud?
Right.
Out of Minnesota with all this money that's floating around? Because where did that money go?
Right.
I mean, who really profited? And what winery closes?
Right. Yeah.
I mean, we're a pretty good drinking country.
Right. You got to do something wrong to have that business fail.
Yeah, it makes no sense. That said, it's like, it's worth whatever. You have tax returns. You know what it was valued at. What are you doing?
Right.
And, they said I think one of the excuses she used was, well, first she said it's a range. So when it all comes out, then a couple days later, it became, well, the accountant didn't count the liabilities of the company.
Right. But then how does that work? $36 million in liabilities and debts? What?
Right. And what accountant is this? I mean, I could see, like, I did it myself and I don't know what I'm doing.
Right.
But an accountant, like, you went to a CPA, right?
Right. For $36 million, you're going to a CPA.
I think so.
Yeah.
And it's probably, any CPA would be better than us. So how do you get that wrong? That doesn't.
Well, and then if you're the CPA too, you hold a lot of liability there. So if they even found out that she lied about something, that would explain why they were like, okay, well, we're going to correct this. Because we'd be held a liability for it. So you're only worth $120 million or $120,000, like not $36 million.
Well, and every CPA, I know I've had it for years and years, they'll send me this, letter at the beginning saying that we base it all on what you've given us.
Correct.
We're only responsible for the information you've provided. It's a real disclaimer on, hey, dude, if you're giving us false information, you're the one hanging, not us.
Right, 100%.
And I'd like to hear from the accountants on how this came about.
I would too.
Of course, the media doesn't ask, like, okay, who's your accountant? I'd like to go talk to him.
Right, yeah. That would be the question, 100%. Like, hey, who's doing your taxes that they fucked up that bad?
Right. And and then they might tell you the truth, like, no, that's not it. We didn't make a mistake.
Yeah.
Because I'm guessing it wasn't their mistake, because that's a pretty big mistake for, an accountant.
Right. So check this one out. I think this video, I got another one here of Ilhan.
Okay.
I think this is the one that I was thinking it was last time. Nope, that's not the right one. Hold on. Oh yeah. So here's this one. So this one, she gives the craziest explanation for this money. And it's insane that these people are not in trouble for this. Like, it's insane that that these people are getting away with this. But check this one out here.
Okay.
Congresswoman Ilhan Omar, and says she's not a multi-millionaire, and she's now offering an explanation in air quotes there about why her financial disclosures say she and her husband have a net worth of $30 million. Chanley Painter is here with the details. Hey, Chanley.
Hey, Charlie. So get this. The Minnesota representative, she's doubling down that she's not a millionaire after her income disclosures sent shockwaves through Capitol Hill and calls from the president for a fraud investigation. So Representative Ilhan Omar now insisting the initial numbers in the disclosure filed last May were completely off base, which was an accounting that showed her net worth of up to $30 million. But now an amended filing shows shared assets with her husband of up to just $95,000. A spokesperson saying this, quote, the amended disclosure confirms what we've all said all along. The Congresswoman is not a millionaire. Well, the original disclosure signified a stark increase in income, listing that Omar and her husband held assets valued between $6 million and $30 million, a roughly 3,500% jump in net worth from 2023 to 2024. Many accrediting it to her husband's two businesses, a winery and a venture capital firm. Reportedly, aides of Omar said she did review the filing before submission, but didn't flag the errors. But Omar's lawyer is blaming the reliance of accountants for the error. Well, now she's saying that she did amend the disclosure voluntarily as soon as this discrepancy was identified.
I just think that's such a bullshit answer.
Well, I like the statement, as we've always said. No, we didn't. You didn't always say that. You said you had 30 million.
Right.
Now you're saying you don't.
Yeah.
It wasn't always. It sounded like people made it up and she had to defend it like, oh, no, I'm not a millionaire.
Right.
It was the paper you filed.
Right.
So,
yeah. It's so
very strange.
Very disingenuous.
Well,
yeah.
In two firms there, they say he had a capital firm. So he has investments. How could you only have 95,000?
Right.
What's he investing on behalf of me?
Right.
I mean, that's
right.
Come on.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't make sense.
That doesn't make sense. I agree with you. A capital firm, you got to have you got to have money.
Right. Or otherwise, who's going to you?
Right.
And
yeah.
You're not doing very well.
Right. Yeah. That's crazy.
It was all eaten in expenses. I know you told me, what's he made off? I mean, come on. That's ridiculous.
Yeah. 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 It doesn't make any sense to me. I have problems wrapping my head around that. I was looking for this specific one of her, and I thought I had it on here, but she's
constant news though.
Just how arrogant she is with just how she is. Like when people try to ask her questions, how just elusive she is, and she'll call them stupid and all of that. But I just find it like it's so insulting. Like it's just very, very insulting on this. But like, for example, let's see, we can get this one here. So check this one out here. So this one here is kind of one that I was telling you about.
Congresswoman Omar, the last time I spoke to you, you said that I was stupid for asking you about your financial disclosure, but there's some discrepancies on there. Would you like to explain that? How would you like to explain stake on this? Absolutely, you're stupid for asking me anything. I am? Yes. Well, what about the American people who are wondering how you made such a big mistake? Explain to the American people. What's the explanation? I have given them the explanation. Do you want to tell our viewers? Because I don't want to tell you jack shit. Oh. How about that? Okay. Okay. Have a good day. Thank you, Congresswoman.
See, and that's what I'm saying, is she makes it really hard to want to even, sorry, nope, I'm not going to answer your question. I already answered it. Goodbye. Like, I really want to see her in handcuffs being taken in, because you can't act, and that's how the Somali community is. I hate to say that, but with all this fraud going on, you know, you go in there to check it out, and that's how they act. Oh, no, there's nothing here. You're not supposed to be here. That's not a legal defense. And if you're committing fraud, on the American taxpayer, like she clearly is, I want to see some mass arrests, especially out of her office. I mean, that shit just pisses me off. That arrogance.
Who was what network was that the reporter was from? I couldn't tell.
That was from Lindell TV. That was Mike Lindell's.
Okay, so maybe that's it. That she doesn't think she has to answer to them. And although I seen her walking in the hallway, and I think it might have been Fox News. One of the reporters was walking with her, and she pretended to have a conversation with someone she was walking with.
Yeah,
they were just kind of giggling, and it's like never even recognizing the reporter. And I thought, okay, you look guilty.
Yeah,
it's the old, when you go into court, you're not saying anything. You know, and I know the defense attorney is saying don't say anything, but you know the press is making it look like you're already convicted.
Right,
you're walking into something like that.
Correct. Yeah.
So,
and she definitely doesn't look. She looks guilty. She looks very guilty.
She's not helping I think when you're a public official, you almost have to answer some of the basic questions.
You do. Yeah, you do. 100%.
Maybe the simple way would be show us the documents. If you have nothing to hide, show us the documents, the first ones, and then what you revised.
Right. Yeah. Because I mean, we need to get to the specifics here because something's not adding up, you know. And then they had one too where it was Feeding Our Future, where she put, you know, fought for like $6 million for this Feed Our Future thing for Minnesota, and they show up and they find out that there was nothing there. People are going, is there a clinic here? There's supposed to be a clinic here. And they go, oh no, there's never been a clinic here. And it's like, okay, so she's definitely into that whole fraud thing. God only knows how much money she's actually sending back to her other country, because that's where they were finding with a lot of the Somali crowd with a lot of these things. They're filtering it back to, you know, the people in other countries that hate our guts.
So the incident you're talking about is even different than the learning center and the you know, the child care stuff that's going on in Minnesota or whatnot.
Yeah. It was a new one that just came out, rather recently. But it's
it seems to be the problem with a lot of these programs in government, and it gives government a bad name because
it does.
It appears that if we got rid of all the fraudulent grants to not-for-profits and other organizations, we would have a balanced budget. It's
100%. Yeah. Get rid of all the waste and fraud and abuse. Get rid of all the waste, fraud, and abuse before you start talking about adding more taxes.
Right. And maybe the way to do that is you go back to that old zero budget where you start every year at zero.
Right.
And now tell me why we're supporting this program.
Yeah.
You know, even if it's like, hey, defense needs, you know, $4 trillion. Okay, tell me why. Show me where it is. And then, hey, this learning center in Minnesota needs $4 million or $4 trillion. Okay, tell me why.
Right.
You know,
what exactly? Itemize this thing where it's going.
Right. And like, okay, are there actually people that go there, or is that money being shifted somewhere else? It seems like a lot of it, and it's not only at the federal level, at the state level, local level, they're shifting it to themselves for politics and running campaigns on it.
Yeah.
And that becomes indictment time.
Yep. 100%. 100%. I have another one here for you. Let's see what. So you got. Yeah, let me see here. So this one here, talking about the Southern Poverty Law Group, right? Here's one. Oh yeah, so here's Kamala Harris claiming Charlottesville was not debunked or anything like that. Check this one out. These people are lunatics, and they lie like they.
Charlottesville.
But yeah, she just claims that that Charlottesville is this thing, and let me get it here. Give it a second. There we go. All right.
Let's remember Charlottesville, where there was a mob of people carrying tiki torches, spewing anti-Semitic hate. And what did the president then at the time say? There were fine people on each side. Let's remember Charlottesville.
Can't even tell the basic truth about that. That one, in that interview, he says, other than the white supremacists, there were good people on both sides. They clip out the white supremacist part. But two, now we know that Charlottesville was in fact a paid protest to make Trump supporters look like white supremacists. And she still plays it up like it's just not even a fact.
And I think that's what we were talking about, that coordination that you see between government budgeting, not-for-profits like the Southern Law Poverty Center, and the Democrats in the end using it for issues, fundraising, and elections to keep their base together.
Yeah.
And, because it's hard. I've often wondered, like, why do black voters vote so monolithically for Democrats after their programs have failed the families?
Everybody,
for what, 50
40,
years?
60 years, yeah.
Yeah, 60 years now, yeah. I mean, you go to the 60s, and you think, okay, that's failed you, and still you vote for these people. And now we had that little extra cherry on top. Well, they're racists on the other side, so you can't vote for the racists.
Right.
Yeah, it's hard to blame the black voter who says, yeah, I know it hasn't worked, but I can't vote for the racists.
Right.
And they make it sound like it's, the old segregation times where we're going to hang people from trees.
Well, and I think, too, like their whole argument there is so disingenuous, too, because it's like, back when in the 60s, like, yes, they were 100% treated badly. But, in today's, we are moving towards a more perfect union. I think, a lot of that has to come down to, like you said, like, I don't want to vote for a racist, but I think some of that is starting to break down a little bit because people are starting to see through that, hey, it was the Democrats that started the KKK and it was the Democrats that funded the KKK up through 2026 through the Southern Poverty Law Firm.
Right.
So,
well, I think some of it that's happening is the media, in that trifecta of the connection between the government, the party, and the media, where they've just perpetuated these myths, is now being broken up because you have people doing their own podcasts. You have independent journalists. Nick Shirley's out there. Yep. What is he, like 22?
Yeah, he's a youngin'.
Right, he's a youngin'. But, it's not only him. James O'Keefe was doing it. There's a lot of guys that have really been doing that for a while now. And a lot of podcasters, independent bloggers, and media sites. And what they've done is said, hold on now. There's more than just watching NBC, ABC, or going to, the New York Times and Washington Post. The truth gets out eventually. Unfortunately, sometimes, it takes 10 years sometimes. You look at Trump.
Yeah.
The time.
Seriously, yeah.
And part of it's him, being able to fight back. I think others have let all that go for 60 years where They've just said, well, those aren't our voters, and
Right.
what can we do about it?
Right. Instead of testing the status quo.
Right. And really looking into it and saying, we're not racist, so what's the real reason? How do these people think that?
And that's what I was going to say too. I kind of lost my train of thought, but when you have the change in terminology, right? Like in the 60s, they were lynching people. Nowadays, if you want voter ID, you're just as bad as somebody who wanted to lynch somebody in the 60s. There's a dissonance there that doesn't make sense. Where, back then, words weren't considered, what am I looking for? So horrible and racist. It's just words. Actions don't mean anything. I don't know.
Yeah, whenever we started with words matter, it's like, well, not really, because growing up as a kid, we called each other all kinds of names. And
Right.
Fine.
Right.
And then the next day you were still playing with little Billy. It didn't matter what Billy called you.
Right.
Because you probably called Billy something.
Right.
But that became a big deal. Like, yes, there's some kind of, words are more important than actual actions. And I think over time, we've seen this, where we have the, racism especially. There were identifiable criminal acts that weren't prosecuted, and where you actually are killing people, because of the race.
Right.
And now you don't see that. I don't,
Right.
you do see it. It's a one-time incident where one crazy guy is going after another guy. And I don't know, it could be either race or any race, right?
Right. Right.
Well, generally not the Asians. The Asians tend not to kill people. I don't know.
Right.
But the white guy and the black guy, we got to worry about those two.
Right.
They might do something to each other, but it's not a constant systemic issue.
Right.
It's individuals making stupid choices and being ignorant.
Right. Well, go back to the words thing too that we were talking about. You had Chuck Schumer say, and I quote, "the atrocities that ICE is committing in Minnesota." Okay, well, they're out there getting criminals off the street that are raping kids. An atrocity, for example, would be what happened to the Jews during the Holocaust. That would be an atrocity. But the fact that he's using the word atrocity in terms of what ICE is doing, that's just gaslighting to me. That's why I lose respect for a lot of these guys, because I know what they're trying to do. They're trying to manipulate words and the feelings and all of that, and I just see through it. As a conservative now, we can see around corners. We've been tested and tried, but.
Well, you're right, and I think Schumer's a great example of a guy who has stayed 20 years too long in his position. He was on the floor talking about the Southern Law Poverty Center, and defending it. And you're like, wait a minute, let's not defend that.
Right.
I mean, the problem is you knew about it, is my guess.
Right.
There's nothing in the indictment that says Schumer knew, but I think it was well known within the Democrat leadership.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so now you're defending it because you're afraid it's going to blow back on you and hurt elections. Well, hey, you were caught. I'm sorry. Right. And you're defending that. And I think the point on, the Save America Act, you telling me we can't show an ID at the polling place?
Right. It's racist.
Is that big a deal?
It's racist to ask for an ID.
Right. Like everybody, I'm a little put off when I'm in line at TSA and you got to give your license and they ride through and then they look at you. They're like, yeah, that's you. Get out of here.
Yeah.
And it takes a few minutes, and that's better than having the plane run into a building.
Correct.
So I'll do it.
Yeah.
And I don't feel violated that I have to give my license. I don't feel violated if a police officer stops me and says, hand me your license. Okay, here you go.
Right. Yeah.
I think, okay, fine. Or anything, you go and you go to a hotel. They're going to ask for.
They're going to ask for an ID. Yeah. Yeah.
Right. They don't want you just, showing up at their hotel and not knowing who it is. So they have to have a record. I just think it's silly. Everything you do, your bank account, you you could walk into a bank you've been doing business with for years, and they still might ask for your ID.
Correct. Yeah.
If you're taking money out.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
to make sure
you know, it's like I had one. I'm like, why do you need an ID? It's my account, but here you go.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Right.
I was putting money in. Actually, my wife was putting money in, and they wanted her ID. And it's like, why would anybody be putting money into an account that's not theirs?
Right. Yeah. How does that work?
What benefit? They're not taking money out. They're putting money in.
Right. If anything, that'd be benefiting somebody. You should be happy with that, right? Like, it's more money for you in your system.
They had some kind of rule. It's like, okay, here's my ID. Whatever.
Right. You just go with the flow. Yeah.
It's a made-up issue in order to let people vote who, you know, aren't legal voters. You know, whether they're voting for someone else, which happens, especially here in Illinois, or, you know, they're illegals and they're not supposed to be voting at all.
Right. 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 Well, I appreciate you coming on. That's all the time we have today. But thank you so much for coming on again. We'll have to have you on again. I always enjoy having you on. Always appreciate your insight. And go check out his book, The DC Swamp Strikes Back. And we'll put that link up again as well for everybody. So I appreciate you coming on. Thanks for coming on. And God bless you, my friend.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Drew. I really enjoyed it.
I enjoyed it too. Like I said, we'll do it again.
Okay.
All right. Thanks so much. You have a great one. Bye. All right. So that is all the time that we have for this week. Thank you so much for listening. We had a great guest on. A lot of fun stuff. We'll be back next Saturday. New guest. But look forward to next Saturday. Keep the faith. God bless. And get out there and talk shit to a liberal today. Thanks so much for watching.